We're here with Micheal Hveem, who's Executive Director of the Joshua Trust. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've been the Executive Director of Joshua's Trust for 4 years. Prior to coming here, I was the Executive Director of the Avon Theater Film Center. And prior to that, I've worked as an analyst in the mutual fund business. And prior to that, I've worked as a lawyer, as a law librarian, as many different things. I have a varied and eclectic background. Undergraduate degree in history, so I have a natural interest in the history of the buildings and the area that we operate in as Joshua's Trust. And also a master's in library science, which is where I get the research interests.
Micheal, tell me, what is the importance of the Gurleyville mill to the Trust?
The Gristmill is actually the reason that Joshua's Trust was founded. The organization was founded in 1966. Specifically with an intent to save this building. It was believed to be under threat of development, not so much the building itself, but the surrounding acreage. So the trust, as I say, was founded in 1966. It was a coming together of Town of Mansfield Conservation Commission members and the Mansfield Historical Society. So deep in the DNA of the organization is this commitment to both conservation and the preservation of history. And they didn't actually manage to convince the then owner of the building to sell it to the trust until 1979. And that is something of a testament to the perseverance of the founders of Joshua's Trust. They kept after it until they had accomplished what they set out to do, which was to save this building. In the early 1980s, they were able to secure grants, including National Park Service grant funding, to do some of the work necessary to stabilize the building and to ensure that it would endure for the ages. We are currently at the start of a major restoration, stabilization program. The building has, over the years, suffered from hydraulic undermining, and the building has been shifting. So we've had a consulting engineering firm come in and do a complete assessment of the building. One of the problems that was identified was the building was beginning to deform from the undermining, which is very dangerous in a stone building. So a great deal of reinforcing rodding was added. You can actually see these bolts are from an attempted repair many years ago, but the problem is now larger than what these could contain. So we had interior work done as the first phase of stabilization of this historic treasure. And what we're planning to do now is do the grant writing and other fundraising to secure the support to begin working on the upper floors now that the footings are sound. Big project here, and this also is a testament to the commitment of the trust to take care of what it has chosen to preserve and protect. I know it's a lot of money, it's a big commitment, but our members and our trustees are committed to ensuring that we do preserve this for future generations.
So Micheal, it's a very complex looking set of gears over there. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at and how the repairs have been applied?
Well, this section of the mill is really the heart and soul of the milling operation. This is where the power from the water would be transferred to the machinery that would actually grind grain and produce flour and other products upstairs. This essentially was driven first by a water wheel and then by a turbine. They were keeping up with the times, and the latest technology was turbines, a more efficient means of transferring the power from the water to the machinery. And this would have been basically the main shaft delivering power through a series of belts and pulleys on the upper floor that could be controlled by the miller to basically power each stage of the preparation of the milling. And in earlier years, attached to this building was a sawmill and also a shingle mill. And those also were driven off of the same machinery. And you may be able to see just behind that bevel here is where the drive shaft actually went through to power the sawmill, and then from the sawmill to the shingle mill. The sawmill and the shingle mill were lost over the years in flooding events, but the stone mill endured. The repair work that was done did not deal with any of this earlier framing, but rather involved the addition of these cross ties to keep the walls from buckling, and reinforcing plates that basically strengthen the envelope of the building so it can't shift any further than it already has. The work also involved adding in columns and hidden out of sight below the gravel concrete footings that are sufficient to hold up the building regardless of the original perimeter foundation. So we're essentially looking at a whole new structure within the mill holding it up, put in as sensitively as is possible given the engineering constraints and not wanting to tamper with the original equipment. We want to work around it. This truly is a snapshot in time. This mill sits on a site that has had mills since the 1730s. This particular building dates from circa 1840, and it was in operation up until 1941. And in 1941, a critical metal component broke and couldn't be replaced due to the metal shortages of the Second World War, and the owner simply closed the door and left everything as it was and went on with other business. So this truly was a time capsule when the trust acquired it, right down to its original ledger book sitting on the standing desk upstairs.
Thank you, Michael. This is a remarkable piece of engineering.